Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about women's representation in the media. So basically, I'm just going to be talking to you guys about how they are represented and why the way they are represented is really negative to women's culture and to feminism. And that leads me right into my first point, which is exploring femininity in the media. The feminist movement is related to the idea of gender and sexual equality in society. It is a social problem, not a biological problem, which means that people have created this problem with feminism because of the treatment, the inequality that women are receiving with low pay and jobs. Just basically everything that you see every day, women are falling back a little bit more than men because of the gender that we are. So femininity is very different from culture to culture based on that culture's values and the things that they do every day, and how they treat women really has to do with how dominant the male is in that society. A lot of cultures have a very dominant male. So basically why feminism is so important is feminism is being taken away from our culture, from women's culture. And this is because women are suffering a very narrow set of representations in the media. They have a very narrow box of what they're supposed to fit in. So when you look at the media, you'll see, the same skinny lady in every single advertisement. They'll look perfect, and you'll wonder why you don't look that way. We are often linked to a domestic situation in the media. This means that we're linked to being the housewives or the mothers. And this is because throughout all of history, you'll read about the man being the breadwinner and the woman staying at home and sewing the clothes and making food for the kids and working around the house and cooking for the husband when he gets home. And this is also really, trapped us in what we're able to do. Besides, being projected as housewives and mothers, we are also projected as sex objects. And, you can ask yourself why this is. And the only reason, really, after doing, reading articles and talking to a bunch of people, is that it's to satisfy the male audience. It's to give the males, something to chase after, while the male will be looking at the woman's body in the advertisement, and the woman will be looking at the product in the advertisement, because the woman that's looking at the other in the magazine wants to be exactly like her. So this has become really, really, really bad, and it takes away from our feminism movement and just believing in how strong feminism is. Because if we let people take these things away from us when they're taking pictures of us and putting them in magazines, then it's really saying what we're okay with people taking away from us. The last thing about feminism in the media is how small the woman's parts are compared to the male. You will never really see a man and a woman next to each other while the woman's not being, unintelligent to see, while the male's, reading a book or reading a magazine or cooking food or doing something that's, more manly, while the woman is just sitting there being, a silly woman, because that's what people think of us as. And again, you'll ask yourself why. And it's because, that's how our culture is. That's how our culture represents women. The next point that I will be talking about is, the main stereotypes that you'll see every day about women in the media. So if you think back to, the movie Legally Blonde, everyone probably knows this. It stars Reese Witherspoon. She's a beautiful blonde in a sorority, has a bunch of money, very skinny, has really blonde hair, and nobody thinks of anything of her except for her body. People focus on her body and her looks when they see her. Until the end of the movie, they don't even realize that she can think for herself because nobody gave her the chance to, because nobody thought she could in the first place. So that stereotype is like the dumb blonde. You know, that's a very, very strong stereotype that is in everything. That's in magazines, TV, even music. It's just the dumb blonde is portrayed in a very negative way. So the next big stereotype is the bitch. Sometimes women are portrayed as very masculine characters, but somehow there's still that huge focus on what our body looks like. So we can have those masculine features in TV and advertisement, but the main focus will still be on what our body looks like. And the bitch is a stereotype where those masculine features do come out, and women are just thought of, mean and bitchy because, we have more emotions and we have more things to express than men. The last thing is, the mother. I mentioned this before. Basically, that's just saying that the woman takes care of everything. The woman takes care of the children, the woman takes care of the whole family, and the woman does all the chores around the house. So she'll stay home day after day, in the home, making sure her husband has food when she gets home. This is a really negative stereotype that we see in mainly movies because it shows young children that, that's what we are destined to be when we grow up. A mother, someone, and maybe we are, but we are destined to do other things as well. The last thing is, maintaining sexual appeal. That is a stereotype. I guess it is a stereotype, but it's really just saying that women have to, in order to be successful, maintain a sexual appeal in the media. The last thing is I just wanted to point it out, a few people that, dominate the media industry. For example, Robert Iger, who's the president of Walt Disney, and Rupert Murdoch, who's the CEO of the new corporation. And there were hundreds more that I read, but, I just wanted to give these two because, these males are in charge of, campaigning these women. So obviously they're going to stick with the stereotype rather than, trying to break it because they're in charge and they want to be the dominant male and they want the women to feel how they feel in the advertisements where we feel that we are just being portrayed as weak and helpless. My last point is going to be, talking about women in advertising. Because women in advertising is one of the worst stereotypical, demeaning categories in social media that really sets women back. So the first thing is gender roles. In advertisement, there's always a role that the male takes and a role that the female takes. The female will take the ditzy, unintelligent, all about personality character, while the male will take, the happy father who's cooking on the grill or doing something else that shows their gender role, that represents men. They will never be unintelligent. They will never be, boring. They'll always be doing something and being male dominant in the marriage or in the relationship that they're in. The really sad thing about this is that it really impacts younger generations because their minds aren't quite developed enough yet to where they can make a decision about whether the media is wrong or right. So when they see these things, they assume that that's what they're supposed to do. And it's really bad because often there's nobody to tell them that that's not what they are destined to do in their future, that they can do more. Nobody's there to tell them that. It sells so much. It's crazy. And it's because of the body of women that is being portrayed in advertisement. The pictures will be, really skinny women, airbrushed, beautiful women, but an unattainable beauty. It's an unattainable beauty that, most women really, unless we starve ourselves and we go to the salon every day and we pay millions of dollars to work on our face, we really can't look that way. And it's really horrible because, in some place in everyone's mind, we think we can. And that's why it sells. So because women keep buying these products that the women in the magazines are selling because they want to be more like the woman in the magazine. I really already touched on, women versus men in the media. How the male will always have the dominant role and the woman will always have the unintelligent, ditzy role. And it's quite demeaning to women while it's quite complimentary to men. So the most important thing about advertising is gender roles. We need to break the barrier of gender roles, and we need to start realizing that women can do just as much as men in most situations because we are very capable beings, just like men are. And if we break the gender role stereotypes in advertising, people will be shocked. People will be going through magazines and wondering, wow, I haven't seen that in a while. And that's what we need. My conclusion is just, I want you guys to really remember these points. Feminism in media and why it's so important and why it's being taken away from us. Stereotypes. When you watch movies, look for those stereotypes and point them out to the people you're watching them with because, they're probably not thinking about it. And it might be demeaning to that specific person, and more it might be demeaning to you, and it's important to realize this and be aware of it so that we may do something about it. And then third, be aware of what you're reading, and be aware of the images and the advertisements that you're reading because, unconsciously it can really be embedded in your mind, and we don't want that. We want positive energy being put towards the feminism movement. We want that social equality in our society. So the changes, from culture to culture, over time really depends on that specific culture and what they value and how they've treated women in the past. I know in the U.S., it really hasn't gotten better. After reading so many people's opinions and so many articles and statistical data, showing these facts about women and their portrayal in the media, nothing has changed. More people are becoming aware of it, and you'll see many people speaking out against it. But, there's not change being done because the same men are in charge of these companies. So that's pretty much it. I just want you guys to really think about this every day because it's a really important issue, and it's really evident in our culture since, we have so much technology around us every single day. And it's really important to be aware of it so that we can change it. Have a good day, guys.